Hello traders, today is Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. I'm going to go over 13 different names. Keep in mind, this is not financial advice. This content is for educational purposes only. Please make sure to do your own due diligence and research before you risk any of your money on any type of investments. That being said, let's start with Apple. And Friday was interesting. Especially I was day trading Apple. Let's review what I did. We had this start of the day, yes, right here, right on the 325 SMA and the 200 SMA. I did wait for this move to fade away and come back, and I was trading the 5-minute, and then I was really tempted to get into this area right here, but I wanted to see what was the reaction after breaking the 229, actually 230 level. Let me go back to the 1 hour and see if this level is correct. Yes, because we're over the 225, which I said I was going to be bullish over that level, 225. Anyways, I did get some calls right in this area, and I let them ride, I think, towards this candle right here, but it was enough for me to make enough money. This one time, normally when I day trade, I don't get too heavy, but what I did buy February calls, and I day traded those calls, and I just had, the certainty that once we were getting over the 35 SMA and getting a little or mounting this level also on 229, that this was going to continue going. And I think I sold in this candle right here. I don't think I did this candle, but I did sell at a good amount of profit. Now, the profit was pretty decent, not as much percentage-wise, but it was decent because I came in pretty heavy on this entry. And, I did buy a heavy amount of calls. And sometimes when you do that, then, and let's say that the stock moves or you're up 7%, 8%, that could be very significant. So anyways, I took advantage of that move. Again, I mentioned this before. I'm very familiar on how Apple behaves, especially when you have this type of moves. For example, on the day before, you had the start of a day that you had this sell-off, and then you had this double bottom, and then I was day trading Apple in this chart right here on Thursday as well. But on Friday, yesterday, I just had, I knew that there was going to be some sort of behavior similar to what we have seen before. Let's go back to to the daily chart. And I was doing the same day trading, I believe, in this area as well, that things were having a pretty, I guess, or it was in these candles right here that look like hammers, all these hammers right here. This was like 3 or 4 days in a row that I was trading because you had a sell-off and then buyers would come back in. Sell-off, buyers would come. So I was like, well, that's going to happen again. That happened on Thursday. You had a sell-off and then buyers pushed over the 35 SMA. Another point, also the next day, I was like, if we go over the 35 SMA, I'm jumping in heavy. Anyways, what do I think is going to happen with Apple? It would be lovely to see Apple going back to 225, retest, and maybe continue going. But the way things are looking and how much strength Apple have shown in the last 2 weeks, I think we're easily can continue going towards 233, and at that point maybe we can reassess or just keep an eye, or maybe sit on your hands and wait. But I think it has enough momentum. I honestly think it has enough momentum to 237, but or maybe break that all-time highs. But we'll see what happens at that point. But for now, I think for Apple, I'm gonna keep day trading it. I think is giving us again that sort of moves that you have a lot of, I guess, volume coming in the beginning of the trading session, and then around 8:30 or 9 a.m. Pacific time, then you actually get the actual move for the day. And And that doesn't happen every time, but it happens often enough to make, I guess, calculated risks. Let's move on to the next name, and that is, if I'm correct, AFRM. Um, Well, AFRM at this point, I'm going to mention a couple of names that are right into what I would call a momentum cycle. And I think right now AFRM is on that level. I wouldn't be surprised, and we're probably going to hit 70 again. Or actually, at this point, maybe we're going to retest 61.6 and maybe come back towards 70 something or 72, maybe. But at this point, in my opinion, looks a little bit extended on, especially on the MACD. Now, I do believe that this still has momentum to continue going up. Volume is decreasing, so that should be also something to keep in mind as far as the move on the continuation to the upside, considering that volume is fading away. Now, it would be fantastic if we go down towards 61, or maybe even better if we go towards 55, and then that might give you an opportunity to get back in. There's low liquidity here, so in my opinion, I do believe that from 51 to 70 something, or let's say 70, we're probably going to have very decent sized candles and volatility and rapid moves, either to the downside or continuation to the upside. It's looking interesting, to be honest. I think it's overbought. I think it's a little bit extended at this point. Would be great if we see a little bit of a cool down, but mid caps are running, and I wouldn't be surprised if they continue running next week. Let's move on to the next name, and these guys look still weak. That is AMD. Still showing weakness. You're still at this price target that I gave you before, which was 134. One of the things that I was saying is that if we get rejected at 150 or 151, you're probably going to continue going down. Especially if you break that 325 SMA, you're going to continue going down towards 134. Well, we are there. We closed on Friday, yesterday, at 138.3. That's okay. You have an inside day. We'll see what comes tomorrow. Now, MACD and TSI look like they are starting to change direction, but that's kind of relative as well. Now, one thing that is important is that we have, let's change this to a trend line. A decline, let's just use this, a decline on volume right here. That's frustrating. A decline on volume. And which can also tell you that, you know, this move to the downside might be fading, and you might actually have rebound towards 150 or 151. We'll see. I'm still a little bit, I guess, skeptical on the move to the upside for AMD, but we have to hold 134 in order to wait for the next move. Anyways, MACD, TSI are not looking bad. They are neutral, but they are giving you small signs that things are changing. Volume is also giving you the same sign, and you also have the RSI that is looking a little bit positive. Keep that in mind for AMD. Your support level is 134. You don't need a resistance level. I think your resistance is a 325 SMA. Now let's take a look at Amazon. And Amazon is also, let me take a note, looking weak. I'm not going to lie. I wish it was looking stronger. I wish I could say we're going to break 200 and continue going up. But no. On Thursday, we went under 200 with momentum. On a Friday, even though you have a little less volume, you continue going down. You close the day with 0.64% to the downside. That's okay. Yet you have low liquidity in this area going under 195, 194, 195. You're also about to meet the 35 SMA. We'll see what happens there. MACD and TSI not looking good at all. I'm telling you, there is divergence here, and they're over the zero line, and they're under their signal lines. And there's divergence between the MACD and the signal line, the same on the TSI. Anyways, RSI also looking weak. I think if we don't hold this level right here at 195, let's call it 194.9 or 195. If we don't get to hold that, if we don't get to hold the 35 SMA, we're going straight and fill this gap towards 190. As simple as that. So critical level support 190. We don't have to worry too much about 200. It's definitely still a psychological level for resistance, but for now 195 is where your eyes are. And 195 is broken, 190 is your price target. Now let's move on to AVGO. I'm mentioning AVGO because I haven't talked about AVGO in a while. Okay. We have to break this resistance level at 165 to continue going up. I think if more volume comes into the downside and MACD and TSI are also not looking too good, you're gonna go straight towards the 200 SMA. Now that I am talking about this name, and I just saw something that might be interesting. So just bear with me on this, because as I was talking, you have this double bottom right here. And let's, yeah, we have that, and then let's do this again. And you have another one here. I don't know. So I guess it's crucial to break 166.5 to see this actually move coming. Let's get rid of this so that the chart looks cleaner. Anyways, this is interesting. Again, as I was mentioning AVGO and looking at the chart, I noticed this, which is interesting. We'll see. There could be a move back into towards 173, maybe 185 again, but you have to break 166.5. Let's leave it there. RSI is not looking too bad, to be honest, and MACD and TSI would have to get a little momentum to the upside. So you need volume coming for buyers, and see if we break this area right here. You have a volume shelf right here on the volume profile. That's also important. So this resistance level might be a little bit stubborn, which is 173. Let's break 166.5, and then maybe we can start getting more enthusiastic about this name. Let's move on to, let me get the microphone a little bit closer. Well, last week, I think it was last week, I gave you this name. Let's go here. And this was Monday. Yeah. So last week I was talking, not only last week, I was talking about this over the weekend. Let me go back on my notes and take a look. On the 13th, I mentioned DDOG. On the 9th, I mentioned DDOG. So this is the 8th. On the 9th, so on this candle, last Saturday, I was looking at this candle, and what I was saying is like, look at this thing. One of the things that really caught my eye here was that the 200 SMA was right on the support level, which is 121.3. And it was flat, absolutely flat. You can see it right here, no lie. So I was looking at this candle last week, and I was like, if we retest this level, we're just going to continue going up. So I did buy calls on Monday, on the 11th. And I did sell here. Now my fear, the reason why I sold is because I thought we were gonna go back again and retest this level. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna take my money and get back in once we get to 121 again. Well, this thing actually got sneaky on me and got on the 35 SMA 3 days in a row. On the third day, you had a 6% pretty much day. And then look at this run. This is beautiful. It's not even extended on the TSI. It's a little extended on the MACD, which is fine. It's overbought on the RSI. But I think we might have a little bit more, or maybe you're going to have a retest, which is fine. But look at this beautiful move. So within a week, I took advantage of, well, a third of the move. So let's go from this resistance level to this candle, 27%, almost 28%. This is insane. So, very happy if you actually paid attention to what I was saying last week. this move was kind of obvious, but you know, I wasn't anticipating this kind of momentum. Now look at the volume right here. We're still buying volume. This volume is not decreasing. We'll see what happens on Monday, but I think this was fantastic. I wish I didn't sell, but again, my thought process, I trade in a very defensive way, and my thought process was like, this is going to come down towards support and then going to go back up. And once I saw these red candles, I was like, I'm just going to wait. And the next day, you know, that train left me behind, which I'm absolutely fine, by the way. But you know, I'm super happy if any of you actually got into this whole move. Fantastic. So we were here again on when I called this the first time, and then we got an almost 30% move. If you bought calls on that, you know, this would have been pretty fantastic. Which I did have calls, but I sold them too early. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with. I like to actually you know, trade by my rules and stick with them. And sometimes it hurts, but sometimes save me a lot of headaches and a lot of money. Trust me. Anyways, Microsoft, for example, last week was a good example. I took my money and I left, and then it went down that next day. Anyways, let's do ENPH. I think I'm gonna jump on ENPH next week. There's a couple of names on my list for today that I think I'm going to buy next week on Monday probably. ENPH I think is one of them. So I told you about ENPH right here. I said if we go down to 73.5, we're probably gonna fill the gap after earnings. Well, we didn't actually get all the way down to 73.5, but we did go down, and then you had this nice little run right here, which lasted about what, a week, maybe 2 trading weeks. And then you had this drop after the election, and you went down towards 60, 59.80. That's what I have. Anyways, we got to this level. Let's see how old this level is. Oh, wow. This level is pretty strong. So this level goes back to February 2020. Okay. And I think I mentioned that in another video. Anyways, you know, we were here, got rejected like 4 or 5 different days, trading days, and now we're moving. On Friday, you close with 4.28%. I think there might be a good opportunity here. Now, again, this is not financial advice, but I might jump into this. Now, the way I would play this is, what I'm thinking about playing this is buying maybe May calls, so I can give it some time, and I can just wait on the moves and see how this develops. It would give me a little, you know, the stocks will have less decay, and it would be a little more pricey to get in. But I'm okay with that. But anyways, ENPH is looking fantastic, in my opinion. Now, this could get completely invalidated with, you know, if we break support, you know, that would be it. But MACD and TSI and RSI are looking pretty decent. Volume is increasing slowly to the upside. That's a good thing. But we'll see. We'll see on Monday. I think I'm going to jump in on this on Monday. It's looking pretty good. Wow. Okay. So I have this name, which is GOVX. And why am I mentioning this? Well, every time there is news about monkeypox, this is what happens right here, right? You have this run. Right here on this candle, this is a 60% candle. This is insane. Let me go this. This is how this goddamn thing moves. This is a 60% candle. There were news about either a vaccine developing for monkeypox or some monkeypox news. Okay. The next day, you continue going up, but then you had a run in the beginning of the day, looks like, and then after you end up fading all the way down to 3%. Okay, cool. Now on Friday, you got a move of 9.26%, which is Also, okay, you're on top of the 200 SMA on technicals. I don't think you can trade this on technicals. I don't even have levels on this thing. And the reason for that is, or the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think there is one case of monkeypox in Canada. This is not a disease that is unknown to us. This is nothing that that should be too worrisome, but I think the media is making this more than what it should be. I don't know if you're surprised about that, but I am not. Anyways, one of the things that I'm thinking is that if the news continues or if we get more news, this is gonna rally. I don't wanna. I'm probably don't wanna run. I'm sorry, trade this to the upside. I would love to see this move again. And remember when we were here and I was telling you, this is one of those things that you have to wait for the move to fade away and then you jump into it and then you take advantage of it. So this was pretty clear in my opinion. The only thing that I did warn my listeners was that to be careful, because sometimes you can get this kind of moves, right? You got this reaction on the 325 SMA, then you moved back again, but then after that it was a complete disaster. You went from $10 to $2. I was trading GOVX back here, I believe, 2022, probably before that. So I think on this area right here, on May of 2022, somewhere like that. And GOVX, I made a lot of money with it, but it was because of this type of moves. So we'll see what kind of news we get. Just keep an eye on vaccine, monkeypox vaccine related news, and then you can maybe position yourself into some risky trading. Now, the way I would trade this is not with options because it would get extremely volatile. I would trade it straight with stocks, especially to the downside. I would short the hell out of this thing. I didn't do it here because I was trading something else, and because I was worried about this when I saw these 3 candles right here, I was like, maybe this is not for me. But little that I knew, I was very right about my thesis about this fading away again. So that's what I have for GOVX. Now let's go with our friends at HIMS. And you know, I was thinking you know, about HIMS without really looking. You know, I don't know what I was. I think I was driving and I was actually thinking about HIMS. And I was thinking about this whole move right here, which is, if I'm correct, about, look at this, it's 100, I thought it was like 85. It's 122% because it goes higher. 100, yeah, let's say 125%, give or take. Cool. We have here what I also would call, and I mentioned this on other name, which was AFRM, a momentum cycle. We had it right here. And a lot of stocks are going through that. AFRM, for example, is one of them. Palantir is another stock that is in the middle of a momentum cycle. SoFi, I believe, is also pushing really hard. APP is out of control as far as momentum goes. And you know, even, you know, now that I'm looking, let's say JetBlue was also in a momentum cycle for a while. Look at this move, and then it had a fade. But now I don't wanna confuse with JetBlue. I'm just wanna. Robinhood also is in the middle of a momentum cycle. So HIMS already had that, and it ended after earnings, and you had this push towards all-time highs, and then you had this basically this pushback towards a very low level, considering that you were at 30 something. You went all the way down back to a very strong level, 18.7, and now it's rallying back towards a price target that I gave you last week, which is 28 or 25.7, I believe, 25.5. So we had all this reversal. So the momentum cycle, we can say, probably ended over here, but now we're seeing something a little more consistent, in my opinion. Even though you have this very volatile candles. You had 8.6% on this one, then you had 12%, then you went down 7%. So these are high percentages, 10%, and then the last candle, which is in my opinion good news, under 5%, 4.89%. I think this is good. I think the fact that things are slowing down is a good thing. Now, keep in mind, volume to the upside is also decreasing a little bit, but that's fine. Hence, you have a 4% move instead of a 10 or 12% move. So that makes sense. On Fridays, normally you get less volume out of the other days of the week. Now, in my opinion, it would be fantastic. It would be optimal if we go down towards 21.7. Hear me out. When you get down towards 21.7, you're going to be hitting the 35 SMA again. And then you're going to have a little more of a compression on price, which might actually propel you back towards 25.5 and maybe fill this gap and then continuing in a more sustainable way, for lack of a better term, into this area in which you were on price discovery, but you are not in price discovery anymore. You're going to build more volume and liquidity in this area, which makes things a little more solid. I would love to see a little bit of choppiness, believe it or not, in this area. Even though I'm an option trader, and I would love to see, as an option trader, you want to see giant candles like this so you make money. But I think that HIMS long term is also a good option for some investors and for people that hold positions, which I don't. My only position is Tesla, but and Bitcoin, but I don't consider Bitcoin a stock, or it is not a stock. And anyways, so it would be optimal to go down towards 21, even, you know, if we actually get into this range between 25.5 and 23.5, that would be fine as well. But in my opinion, it would be better if we go towards 21.7. But anyways, another thing that could happen next week, considering how this thing is moving, is and we start building up momentum again. And the cycle that I mentioned, the momentum cycle, kind of reignites and continue going. That could totally happen. You know, mid caps are moving very strongly. If you go to TNA, for example, I don't know if they trade HIMS, but TNA is moving in, is about to break out. I don't know, where is TNA. And remember when I did this in HIMS as well? I did this, what I would call, what is called a rounding bottom. So you have this, and I think it looks better. Rounding bottoms look better on the weekly chart. So you see it right here, and now you're about to break that that area. So I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, seeing HIMS ripping within the next 2 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, if you ask me, is that optimal? Maybe not, because then you're gonna see another pullback that might be as dramatic as this one. You know, like you can get some bad news or whatever, and you know you're gonna get this this type of moves. So, and for that reason, I think it would be optimal as a trader to see a pullback towards 21.7 and then continue going up. But also keep in mind, there's still momentum in the market, especially in mid caps, that is going to push some names. HIMS could be one of them, and continue going up. But going back to what I said in the beginning, for HIMS, you can see on Hood or Palantir, SoFi, and some other names that they're catching momentum and they're continuing in their momentum cycle. So we'll see. You also can see, now that I'm looking at this chart, you have a double bottom here. I mean, there's so much going on here, which also means that this can continue going. But I personally, sorry if I upset anybody, I personally would love to see this retesting 21.7 and then going up. But I wouldn't be surprised if this thing hits all-time highs again within a week or maybe 2. And that would be getting into the 30 territory and then price discovery again. We'll see. Either way, I think that HIMS is stock that has much more futures than going at 30. I cannot give you a price target beyond what I see on the chart because I'm not a fundamental trader. I just tell you what I see on the chart, but I just find it quite interesting. And as I said before, I feel like I've learned a lot about behavior of candles, more than levels, and it's just behavior of candles with HIMS, and that is why I'm spending more time on HIMS that I would normally do on other stocks. And to be honest, I made pretty decent money, especially in this part of the move between 18.7 all the way up to this candle right here. Anyways, there is definitely momentum here. There's more things to be seen. I hate to give you two scenarios because I would love to be more precise, but I think my wish is go back to the 35 SMA, which is in the area of 21.7, and then retest that area and then go back up. But if we catch a little more momentum next week, we're gonna we're gonna hit price target again, 25.5, and then we're gonna fill that gap. So if you want a price target to the upside, would probably be 27.5. And the reason for that is because you have a little bit of a volume liquidity here, so you might get a little bit of a rejection in this area. And if that is the case, then we can put a level right here and then confirm that 27.5. But anyways, let's put a range, I guess, for now of 21.7 and 27.5, and then we'll see what happens afterwards. But HIMS, in general terms, is looking good. We might end up, or maybe we are getting into another momentum cycle. That is possible, but I wish, there was a little bit of a cool down, but it's such an interesting name to, or chart to actually look at. I like it every time I see it. Anyways, let's take a look at Intel. And it's a beautiful setup on Intel, in my opinion. You are right. And I did put this chart on X, by the way, but this is really looking interesting. So you are right under resistance at 24.6, give or take. You're under this trend line, and then volume is decreasing. It has been decreasing since this area is going down. So what is happening here, you're having a price compression and some sort of energy as far as, could be building up to the upside. That is a good indication. Now you also have the MACD and the TSI, which are absolutely neutral. That's totally fine. And you have a price gap right here. You have low liquidity here. So it seems like things or evidence to the upside is starting to pile up. I would still wait what happens here. You have to break this level with momentum. If you don't, then just leave it alone. You have the 35 SMA right on this trend line, or actually right on the wick of this candle right here. So again, let's see what we get right here, passing resistance, and at that point you're probably gonna end up filling this gap. So there's opportunity here to the upside. Any type of news are probably gonna push this. And again, keep in mind that basically from this area, so from here to here, volume is decreasing. That's a good thing, because I tell you why. It's a good thing that volume is decreasing because you have a downtrend move and the volume to the downside is decreasing, which means that when we move to the upside, volume is going to increase. Sounds kind of weird, but that is exactly what is going to happen. So sellers' pressure is decreasing and buyers' pressure might come in, and that is what you can actually consider or call a price compression. So something is building up. It could be. I mean, nothing is for certain on trading. Now let's move on to an interesting name that I haven't trade or talk about in a while, and this is MLBY with let me take a note right here, with ticker symbol MBLY. Now this is interesting because this was on range for a while, so it was right under resistance at 25 or 15.24. We broke resistance, we test resistance, and we test support at that point. Resistance turned into support, you test it, and then you went up. There's very low liquidity here, all the way towards 24.8 or 25 if you want to, actually 25 probably. My next resistance point is a 200 SMA, which you are probably going to meet somewhere around 21.8, 21.7. You have a gap here to fill. This actually, I like, some of you know, I like to do that. You have a gap right here. Wow, what happened here? Interesting. You have a gap right here. And I think that any news that has to do with autonomous vehicles, this is going to continue moving up. And I think that the market is starting to catch up with what is happening with this name. So that is what I think. Right now, you are right on the verge of low liquidity. You are right here. This is where you closed on Friday. And now you have this gap of liquidity all the way towards almost 25. Keep that in mind. MACD and TSI are not looking bad at all. RSI is not overbought. If you get a little bit of red, even if you get a retest towards 1524, I think this is going to continue going up towards 25. My price target, to be honest, it is not 25 yet, but is somewhere, I would say maybe 20, almost 22. And the reason why I'm saying almost 22, because we're going to hit the 200 SMA somewhere in that area. So MBLY looking pretty good. Let's move on to a name that I think I'm buying on Monday, and that is Nike. I was, for some reason, I haven't looked at Nike in a while, and for some reason, I looked at this chart, I think today, and I did make a post on X for Nike. But you are crossing the trend line right here. You went over resistance at 74.5, and now you're on your way to hit the 35 SMA, which I wouldn't be too worried about breaking, and the 79 resistance level. If you break 79 resistance, I think you're going to fill this gap. You're going to hit the 200 SMA before you do that, but I think there is enough momentum. MACD and TSI are not looking bad at all. I'm going to be honest with you. So this is looking good. It closed on Friday at 3%, and on Thursday, which I haven't looked at, is 2.37%. This is interesting. You have a very strong resistance level right here, which you had right here as well. It was very difficult for Nike to break this resistance level, but this time you actually broke it very nicely. So volume is flat. It's not like increasing or decreasing, which is fine. But I like how the MACD and the TSI, especially the TSI, is catching a little more momentum than the MACD. Keep in mind this name, 35 SMA and this 79 level are crucial for a continuation of this move. I don't think, now that I'm looking at this, I'm probably not gonna jump into this until we break 79. Because it could be a strong resistance level, as strong as 74.5 when it was 74.5. Now let's finish this video with a lot of interesting names. If I have time tomorrow, I'm probably gonna make a video with more names, because there's a lot going on. Roblox, and I'm bearish on this one, to be honest. You are in a low liquidity area still. You retest this resistance level. Don't worry too much about it at this point, 52.3, and now you are well on your way to fill this gap. Look where these candles are right here, or this week and this week right here. So you can argue that that's also a level of support. Yeah, you have low liquidity here towards 47.32, which is, or 47.3, which is, why am I using that level? Okay, that's why. So we're coming, this level is right here. Yeah, 47.3, no, 47, yeah, 47.3. So we're coming here. That was a double top. I didn't check the date, I'm sorry. But yeah, this seems to be a strong level. We can again argue that this might be another level right here, considering these 2 weeks right here, right on the gap that we had after earnings. This is interesting. So we'll see. I think if we break this resistance level, I wouldn't be worried about the 35 SMA. This is just gonna cut through the 35 SMA, go straight towards 44.4. That's it. Now, my price target is not 43, but my price target right now is first 47.3, and then if you break that, which is very possible, 44.5, 44.4. Why am I saying that it's very possible that it's going to break this support level? Because MACD and TSI are catching momentum and strength to the downside. RSI is already there, but looks like there might be a decent divergence between the TSI line and the signal line, and that would actually tell you that momentum is building up to the downside. Volume was increasing to the downside. Now on Friday, which is a low volume day for, typically a low volume day, now you had a small kind of neutral candle and small amount of volume. We'll see what happens next week. I think this thing is going down towards 44.4. Let's break 47.3 first, and then we can actually put a more consistent or a more precise price target. That's all I have for you guys today. I want to leave it longer than I wanted, but anyways, hopefully I make a video tomorrow. Subscribe and like the video. That would help a lot. And other than that, I will see you guys either tomorrow or Monday. Thank you. Bye-bye.